So I think what we're just experiencing some audio issues. If you couldn't tell. So we might ask for a little patience during this residence council meeting, but we'll encourage each member to speak loudly into the mic. And remember, if you're speaking, pretend this is an ice cream cone and get it close to your mouth. So that will help the audio catch it a little bit better. Another side note is if you're standing and you'd rather sit, or maybe feeling this is a little bit too cramped, it will be downstairs in the TV room too. So you can pop down there and watch it as well. Other than that, I'll hand it off to Elizabeth.
Thanks, IT, for helping us out here. We're so pleased that we have a place at least to gather during this construction time. We have a very full agenda for this important meeting, so let's get started. As you can read from the agenda, and I hope that's up here on the screen. First, we'll have Mike Ostrom's updates on the administration, and then that will be followed by reports from our two nominating committees on filling a vacancy on the council due to a resignation. And then there will be reports by our secretary, our treasurer, our Monday market co-directors, our employee recognition fund drive coordinator. And following those will be the nominating committee again, and presenting the slate of candidates for election to fill the openings on the council beginning in January. The election will then be held and the nominees will each introduce themselves and give brief remarks about their candidacy. And then we will have two spotlighted council committees give us updates about their work. So then we will close with a report about changes in our bylaws. Mike, you're up.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. I'll try to speak loudly since I already got the heads up. The mic doesn't work all that well all the time. Let's see, some bright spots. Well, first, Lyle Appleford, you did a great job in funding a picnic for our staff last week and provided lunch. Appreciated that very much. That was great. And there were a lot of Oktoberfest related events that were going on. I participated up in assisted living where we went around door to door and offered treats to residents, and that was fun. And of course, I think independent living residents had a great meal down here, and the awesome decorations that are done by dining. You know, just really, I mean, it's consistently really good and it's fun and it's creative, and you always kind of see what are they going to put up next. Last week, we had the Past Presidents Lunch, and this is an annual event that Neil McReynolds has been hosting since the 1800s, and he has done a really great job. And this is a combination of the past presidents of the Residence Council and the past presidents of the Board of Trustees. And then a couple of us staff folks there just to offer thoughts. And it's a well-attended event every year because everybody cares about what's going on with Horizon House. A lot of past presidents of the Board of Trustees are not necessarily residents, but they all want to show up and they want to know the update because they are advocates for Horizon House. So I think we had like 17 or 18 people, a couple people couldn't make it, but you know, that's a pretty good turnout every single year. And it was well received and it was a fun event and an informative event. I also want to give a shout out again to Lori and putting together a booster clinic. You know, really, we've consistently done it. And, you know, we had a little grumbling about, oh, you know, where's the clinic? And I can't believe it isn't happening and whatever. And people are getting all wrapped around the axle. And Lori is hustling her patootie off, contacting every single group out there to find out who can show up and do a clinic. Well, some of our other reliable sources said no, right? So she was on the horn, and some of the residents got wind that there were clinics at places that had skilled nursing facilities. Well, they get special treatment at certain times. So there are agencies out there that will do the clinics in skilled nursing. We don't have skilled nursing. So we had to do a little bit more hustle. But you know what? She pulled it off again, and I saw lots of people in line. So I'm sure you were there to get your shot, not just to stand in line. If you wanted to stand in line, you go to your doctor's office. So that was great. And, Lori deserves a lot of credit. She takes it very seriously. She hustles her butt off to make it happen. And it's terrific for all of us. I got my booster as well, and it all went well. So I appreciate her work as well. You've seen I haven't had a lot of new tower updates in the last couple of weeks, and it's not because there is something secret going on. There are two things that are happening. We're trying to figure out what is going to be a design that we can afford, okay? So when we did this from the very beginning, in the interest of time, we said we're going to drill this mountain from two sides. We're going to come this way with design, and we're going to come this way with our anticipated budget, and then we're going to meet in the middle and see how far off we are. And the idea was that we wouldn't be that far off, that they would kind of be, all right, you can clip around the edges and make it work. Well, when we got to the middle of the mountain, the cost side was way off from what our design was going to allow, okay? And we're not going to do something stupid, or at least we're going to do everything we can not to do something stupid. So we are in the process of doing design and evaluating our resources to make sure that we can get these things to line up. We're hoping in maybe the next 2 weeks or so, we'll get a better idea on the cost side. We can give then further direction on the design side, with the idea being that we'll be talking with the board at our February meeting. So I'll update you when I got something new to say, but there is work going on behind the scene, and we'll see where that all takes us. Let's see, Solutions Advisors Group. I think some of you may have participated in some focus groups from an organization called Solutions Advisors. Solutions Advisors is a marketing company that works exclusively with nonprofit CCRCs, and they're really impressive. I was really taken by their approach. We had originally talked to them about ultimately being the marketing arm for a West Tower when the time came, but realized they had a lot more capability than just that. So we hired them to help us create a brand new external website. And they held some focus groups. They flew out here, believe it or not, they're from Florida, St. Pete's. They were in not the thick of the hurricane, but they were messed up from the hurricane. Nonetheless, they came out here and they met with three groups of folks, people who were brand new residents, to kind of get their perspective on what would matter in a website. For those that were in leadership or had been connected or a part of leadership in the past. And then the third group being people who'd been here for quite some time, so that they can get the gestalt of our community to create a website that truly reflects who we are. These are not easily done. Lots of times when you talk with website developers, it's we'll get you, we'll build something and you'll love it. It'll be really pretty. Well, they really wanted to get under the skin and understand just exactly who we are, what makes us different, what makes us tick, so that that website can be reflected in that. So that probably won't get released until sometime in the middle part of next year, because it's a long development process, but it is underway. So FYI on that. And you all got a memo that there's going to be a CEO search update. They're not searching for me, I'm right here, but I won't always be here, so they have to search for somebody else. There's a thoughtful process, and I must say that in my time here, we've had two other CEOs that I've worked with, Bob Anderson and Sarah McVeigh. And from what I can tell, this looks to be like the best process. Residents will be involved in it. No, you're not picking the new CEO, but your point of view matters. Again, a differentiator from the other communities around. And I'm not going to diss communities, but I want to distinguish again, again, that not all communities have this kind of engagement and involvement. One of our competitors, when I was asking about the resident survey and when they last did it, goes, no, we don't ask our residents anything. We don't do any surveys. We don't want any part of that. Well, we do. We want your opinion. We want your point of view, so that ultimately whoever is selected to lead Horizon House in the future understands this community and will be successful, and you will feel it's successful. So you will engage in some of that process, not everyone, but a lot of you, and that's a good thing. We will once again have our small group sessions beginning on the 1st and 2nd of November. We'll get things announced in the alert. And again, it's a time to come and ask questions. I'm not going to have as much of a formal agenda, so it's really going to be a lot of time available to just answer questions, whatever they might be. I'll tag team with Christy probably, and we will hear what your issues and concerns and observations are and do our very best to answer them. And the CEO monthly report comes out at the end of the month. And that's, again, another tool for communication. And we've got a fireside chat coming up on the 28th of October at 10 a.m. And aren't we all going to be really, really happy when Anderson Hall opens up? You know, I mean, a hair delay, but we're going to get there. And I'll tell you, life's going to change in a really positive way when that happens. So look forward to that. I'll be around if there are, intermittently, if there's some questions. I don't know that you want me to take questions now. I know that came up once before, but if there are some quick questions, I'm more than happy to if Elizabeth says you have time. Anyone? Okay. Oh, yes, Tom. So I didn't say when it would open because if I did that, then I'd have to revise my date. And I don't want to do that. My understanding is it will be open in time for our Christmas event, but not at the hoped for time, which was like right now. And guess what? The reason for that is these unforeseen conditions, where they find out some pipes had rotted through and they had to fix them. It just delayed stuff. I'll say one last thing just with respect to challenges that we face on supply chain stuff. The overall supply chain of products, as you hear maybe in the news, is getting better in the aggregate. Now what we have are single, small, medium-sized parts that are linchpin to something. That's why that elevator has been out for the better part of a month, because it's one part that we can't get, and neither can the Otis elevator people, except we have heard that it's supposed to be here this week, but I've heard that every week. So, we're just stuck. It's just not that we don't want to fix it. It's that we can't get the part. All right. Yes, Olga.
Why are we not filling the apartments in independent and assisted?
I think, well, first of all, there are two different issues. The question was, why aren't we filling the apartments? I'll take issue with that a little bit in independent living and assisted living. Assisted living is running a lower census than we would normally expect, but here's our reality. The independent living population is that feeder into assisted living. And we simply have people who are living independently longer and not filling the assisted living. We overshot the mark when we built out to 105 units like 6-7 years ago. We now have 90 licensed, and I think our occupancy is somewhere in the 70s. So it's just strictly up and down with what the demands of the community are. We do reach out to the outside to bring in people, but we're not a competitive product with the average assisted living. We're only a competitive alternative to those assisted living residents who are at the higher end of the acuity, who have a much, much greater need. Remember, our assisted living is a little bit of a notch below skilled nursing, not what a typical assisted living is. So that's that. On the independent living side, we're around 91% occupied, which, historically is not good to our average. We usually run 96, 97 pre-pandemic. Part of that challenge is, I think there's some West Wing concern and people kind of hesitate. Part of it is also that our inventory of product is not what the market wants. We have, anytime there is a unit available in the North Tower, it goes like that. Anywhere else in the community, it's much longer of a time to sell that apartment. And we have a lot of one bedrooms, and those one bedrooms are, it's not that people don't necessarily want one bedrooms, they don't want the configuration of our one bedrooms and the way the space lays out, and we can't change them very much. So we have a little bit of an inventory challenge. That's why. I think people generally want to be here. I think it's more a case of not having what people want to buy, and that is our problem. Okay. All right. Thanks. Oh, and the next person is Connie Hillier. Is that right? and Nancy Cope, both of you. It's a twofer.
Okay. I learned a pivotal skill. You hold this and move this down. Is that right? Pivotal skill number 212 to living in Horizon House. Thanks, Devin. Okay. I can't resist starting my comments with who's on first. The baseball season is over, but we can see who's on first is the question of the hour. I want to describe briefly the process that brought Linda Merritt on board, and we are welcoming her to the team. Thanks, Lynn. Lynn came on board as a 15-month Residence Council member to finish Connie Hellier's term. After she was elected, the special nominating committee asked her to be secretary for 3 months of this year. As secretary, she is also an officer of the Residence Council. A new slate of officers will be recommended for 2023 in November. Now, don't ask me who's on second. Then I think it's the minutes approval. Is that right? She's waiting. No, she's waiting till. Land, Devin, what have I done? Oh, gosh, I'll put it on my bill.
No, actually, the official format protocols have been satisfied when the nominating committee, of which I am coincidentally chair, chose Lynn for the open seat on the council. And then the special nominating committee, which is led by Nancy Cope, then we're very, very happy to have Lynn in the pool of possibilities to succeed me, different hat, as secretary. And Lynn agreed. And so the problem is completely solved, and let's all give another round of applause for Lynn.
Okay. So following Connie's tracks, draft minutes were sent out to all members of the resident council. They had a chance to read them, correct them, and review them. And then the final version was sent out. And now we're at the point where I would like to request what am I requesting? Sorry, motion. Not a senior moment. I'd like to request a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Okay. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. May I now hear a vote? All those in favor, say aye. Doesn't sound like there's any negative vote, but anyone disagree? In that case, the minutes stand as approved.
So I'm the treasurer. I hope that is the slide up? Okay, so you see the totals for September and the year to date. And also, you know that the whole report is on HH Connect if you would like more details. As part of my report today, I'm also reporting as chairman of the budget committee. We had put out a request for any committees that needed additional funds for the last 6 months of the year. And the budget committee met, considered them, and approved the revised budget. Monday Market increased their estimate of receipts by $25,000. We received requests from 12 committees for additional funds. We approved $7,560 additional dollars for the committees. And we added a donation to the ERF fund from the Residents Council of $15,000. So yeah, that's good, isn't it? So the net result of the increase in income and the increase in expenses was this only $2,440, not a huge adjustment. I have posted the approved revision to the budget in the mailroom on the Residents Council bulletin board if you want to see the details. Are there any questions? I introduce now Jennifer, who will tell us about the wonderful Monday market.
Good morning. The Monday market continues to do well. The previous report from Barbara McHarg at the regular resident council meeting covered the earnings up to September 19th. There was one more sales day in the month after that. On September 26th, we held a half off sale throughout the market, except for furniture and things that had already been discounted. The total amount of purchases for that unique event was $2,268. The total deposit for the month of September was $9,018. Our review of the purchase numbers made it clear that the employees of Horizon House are a very important contribution to the market success. So far for October, 3 Mondays, the total deposits were $6,063. So we continue so far to average about $2,000 a month, or just over $2,000 a month. As usual, the success of the market relies on our hardworking volunteers, the generous donors, the clientele, both residents and employees, and the support of Horizon House administration. Please know we always welcome, in fact, need new and additional volunteers. Barbara and I attended the new resident gathering to describe the basic market purposes and operations. We submitted a mid-year budget revision and are very grateful to the budget committee for approving our request. The funds will be wisely used. An audit was conducted on the cashier operation and the proceeds calculation and deposits. We are gearing up for fall and winter and the holiday season. As previously announced, the market will be closed Monday, December 26th and January 2. It will reopen on January 9th. October 16th, the third Sunday of the month, 2 residents modeled clothing from the market during the noon hour of Sunday brunch. If you are willing to model, please let me know, male or female. It has been reported that it was fun. The next brunch show will be November 20th. So I'd like now to introduce Nancy McReynolds, who will talk about the ERF.
As I am sure you are aware, we are in the midst of the Residents Council Employee Recognition Fund Drive. This annual appeal to our residents is designed to thank our hardworking employees for their dedication to making Horizon House the best retirement community in the area. The past 2.5 years have been challenging for all of us, but especially for our employees. They have been short-staffed and many are working long hours and more than one job. They don't receive tips, and we are discouraged from giving them personal gifts. Letters asking for contributions went into everyone's cubby on October 1. We have already received contributions from approximately 142 households, totaling more than $250,000. No gift is too big or too small. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could report next month that 100% of the residents of Horizon House contributed to this fund? There is a box on the wall in the mailroom just waiting for checks to be put in there. In case you need a little nudge and have misplaced your donation form and the return envelope, a second appeal letter will be put in cubbies on November 1. The fund drive concludes on November 15. Contributions received after that date will be held for next year's appeal. Checks will be made available to employees on December 4. Finally, I want to thank those residents who are contributing their time to assemble mailings and process contributions. As has often been said, many hands make light work. In this case, we are a great team, and we're also having fun doing it. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Connie Hilliard.
I know this has been rather confusing because of the different hats I wear, and have worn. The hat I'm wearing right now is that of nominating committee, of which I'm chair. And this committee is responsible for recommending a slate of nominees for election to the Residents' Council. The council, for those of you who are new, is a dynamic body of 15 with a minimum annual turnover of 1/3 or 5 seats each year. And to ensure that a group does not become ingrown, that the council does not become ingrown, the nominating committee has just one sitting member of the council. The other 4 members are currently not on the council. And this year, the outside members, a wonderful group, is Bill Anderson, Susan Barash, Madge Hislop, and Alice Melanie. But we didn't depend only on our own knowledge of the community. The selection process began in July when the entire community was invited to suggest candidates for nomination. The response this year was amazing. Evidence, I think, that our community is rebounding from the doldrums of the COVID epidemic. So all willing candidates were interviewed, a process that we enjoyed a lot and hope they did too. We found ourselves with an embarrassment of riches, kind of like the admissions committee of a selective university faced with a plethora of straight A applicants. So the slate we have assembled represents our best judgment at the moment of the council's current needs and balance, and of skill sets and experience. Next year's nominating committee, with 5 more retirements and 5 more openings, is going to be absolutely delighted at the very deep bench awaiting them. So with that background, let me formally present the slate of 5 nominees that we are recommending for election to full 3-year terms beginning January 1. And they're each going to give you a little talk later. So I'll just rattle off their names. They are Jeff Graham, Ann Kelly, Ned Lang, Karen Smith, and Sam Sperry. And we also want to offer the opportunity at this time for nominations from the floor if anyone else was eager to serve and eager and ready to serve. Shall I conduct the election a bit? Having heard no nominations from the floor, let me ask for a motion for the slate to be accepted. Second? All in favor, say aye. All right, let's welcome our 5 new members.
I'm going to call to the podium the 5 candidates for membership on the council and ask them to introduce the next in line. And they will be in this order: Jeff Graham, Ann Kelly, and Ned Lang is not with us today, but is being represented by Ann Brand, and Karen Smith will be next, and then Sam Sperry. Okay, let's have Jeff Graham come.
Thank you. I hope that's not the sign of my time here. I'm delighted to be elected to the Residence Council. John and I have lived here for 6 years, a little over 6 years, and we both think this is one of our best decisions we ever made, besides meeting John, for me, all right? And I felt that it's my turn to give back to this organization, which we've enjoyed so much and continue to enjoy. So I'm happy to be able to do that. Thank you. Ann?
Well, thank you for electing me as part of the RC. I've been here for 6 years and really enjoyed my time here. I've spent quite a bit of time working on other committees that have been very active: the Political Forum Committee, the Art Committee, the Wellness Committee, and I've found it very meaningful. And as Jeff and I were talking earlier, it feels good to give back to the community that is nourishing you. And I've had a meaningful time here. So it seems to me that the Residence Committee is very much the same kind of a thing. People working together towards an outcome that they really believe in and that will benefit the community. So I'm happy to be part of it. Thank you. And next will be Ann Brand, speaking on behalf of Ned Lang.
Ned gave me the honor of reading for him his remarks to you, and they are as follows. Please excuse my absence today. COVID isolation from a relapse necessitates I protect you. I am honored by this nomination to serve on the board of the Residence Council. As a 15-year resident, I appreciate how vital the organization and activities of the council are to our happiness and well-being. I have been an active resident participating on the board of Horizon House, working on the Election Forms Committee and Communications Committee, singing in the OK Chorale, and volunteering for various other activities as needs arise. Our resident-driven culture is vital to the continued success of Horizon House. The Residence Council is the foundation of that culture. Its structure, its activities, and its responsiveness to residents' desires all contribute to its viability and its success. I look forward to working to assure that success continues. Thank you for the honor. And now, Karen Smith.
Hi, everybody. I just have to tell you, I did not go to the University of Washington, but, you know, I think there are others here in that same boat. Anyway, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. I've been on a number of boards through the years, and in every case, I found it such a rewarding experience to work together with a group of people to further the mission. And we have something very special at this place, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I look forward to getting to know more of you as this time goes on. So thank you very much. And I now want to introduce Sam Sperry.
Thank you, Karen. And I want to thank the nominating committee and all of you. I've been here about a year and a half, and I am amazed at what a wonderful place this is. It has exceeded my expectations, and they were high to start with. I want to second the remarks of my new colleagues and say that I really am looking forward to being a part of how we move as a community out of the dark cloud of COVID. And I think we've got some very interesting challenges and opportunities. We're going to have new leadership here in a year or so, perhaps shorter than that. We're going to get our facilities back. And I think these present us as people with an opportunity to rebuild the best of Horizon House and even invent some new things. So thank you for that. I look forward to meeting more of you and working for you, and don't hesitate to call and let me know if something isn't going well. I'm used to that. Thank you. And now it's my turn to introduce Paul Parham.
All right, like an ice cream cone, only don't lick it, right? Well, it is my great enjoyment to introduce to you. All right, yeah, this one doesn't work too well. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Jack Carr. Now, some of you may remember Jack giving the presentation from the Mental Health Advisory Group. It was an excellent presentation, and I hope a lot of the things that they are proposing or talking about will come forward to fruition for us. Jack, being an extremely versatile person, is going to talk to you today about resident safety, something that he and Bill have been working on for some time. So, Jack?
Thank you. Let's see if I can put this back up here. I hope this works. Bill Corriston is the co-chair with me of the Safety Committee, and unfortunately he's out of town and couldn't be here to help me co-present this familiarity or get acquainted with the Safety Committee. But let me start by just backing up 3 years. 3 years ago, the Safety Committee split off into two sections. One was the new resident briefing committee, and the other was the emergency volunteers. And at that time, I agreed to chair the new resident briefing group, and Peter Corning took over the emergency volunteers, which used to be the old floor captain's routine. So as a result, we had two relatively independent functioning groups, and the new resident briefing committee has now been recombined with the emergency volunteers into a more coordinated and integrated safety committee. The new resident briefing group is a group of dedicated volunteers who, at the beginning of every new resident's arrival at Horizon House, receive a welcoming letter from us and a notification that you're going to get a phone call in a couple of weeks from a member of the committee who will then come in and flood you with information about safety. That's in addition to the
triple flood of other information you're getting at the same time. But we try to point out the importance of this information because all independent living residents are responsible for knowing how to prepare for and to respond to emergency situations. And they're going to happen. We do that by sitting down with the new residents and very patiently pointing out to them that all this information has been gathered into one place. And the one place you can find it is in the back of this little green Horizon House directory. It'll always be in the back pages. Now that's in contrast to what previously we used to have multiple handouts that came at you at different times with information that was constantly changing. But now the information is consolidated, it's all together, it's up to date, and it's in one place. And that thing is near your, hopefully your telephone, so you have ready access to it. In addition to briefing the new residents on preparation and response to emergencies, we also provide any requests for information. People have safety inquiries or things of issue to report. We try to clarify those issues. We try to point out the sources where the information can be found, or we refer it to the person with whom we collaborate, and that's Brian Holtz, who's the operational director for security and safety, and the know-it-all of safety issues and information. The other committee, the emergency volunteers, formerly the floor captains, are volunteers who live on each wing or in each floor and who have volunteered to make available, excuse me, in the event of an emergency to check around the floor to make sure that there are any residents who may need extra special attention or the conditions of the floor require attention, and then report that to the staff via a clipboard that's hanging in your trash room on every floor and in every wing. Now, these volunteers have agreed to do this if they are able, there's no expectation that you got to crawl out with a broken leg and to sign off on the import. But if they are able, then that information is important to first responders who know immediately where to go to give attention. In addition, to assist us in this work, we've established a steering committee. The co-chairs are myself and Bill Corsten, and we've added a member at large, Lynn Demerit, who has considerable experience as a research consultant on residency safety regulations. Now, this enables us to respond more quickly and more accurately to requests for safety information or to double check on what regulations may be, or to check in with Brian Holtz as to what's the appropriate procedure to follow in the case of an emergency situation. As I said, we work in close coordination with the administration. We also assist Brian with his twice annual fairs for staffing and residents, safety fairs. We provide safety updates via the alert, HH Connect, and the K4 app. We might point out that coming up on October 29th, you will hear an announcement over the PA system about the Great Shakeout Day. This is an international exercise in preparing for earthquakes. Now, Washington State has a statewide earthquake exercise drill that will be going on. So you will hear a PA announcement over the system saying, this is an earthquake, blah, 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 blah. But this is meant only for the staff, not for the residents. And it should be made clear when that announcement is made. This is an opportunity for the staff to practice what they have been learning all along as to how to coordinate a response to an earthquake situation. It's not intended for the participants of the residents to participate, but it is an excellent opportunity for you to sit down and pull out your little directory and double check to make sure that you've done all the things that you had to do in order to prepare if this were the real thing. It also enables you to check out how you might respond in those situations. What places you might seek out for safety in the event of falling books and all that sort of thing. It's been a busy year for the new resident briefing committee. In addition to reintegrating our safety committee functions and all the safety information having consolidated into the back of the directory, we've briefed over 30 new Horizon House residents and couples on safety policies and procedures. And that's just up to date. There's a crowd of new residents coming in November and December, so we'll probably increase that number by another close to a third. We've also answered a wide range of questions concerning safety or safety issues, forwarded those inquiries to Brian Hulse, who has been very, very helpful in providing us with the information to pass back to residents in that regard. One issue that is currently under consideration is how do we provide backup for the emergency volunteers? And remember, these are the volunteers on each unit or each wing who are there to gather information in the event of an emergency like an earthquake. How do we provide backup? Excuse me. How do we provide backup for them in the event that they are away from from Horizon House or incapable, unable to respond at that time? Several possibilities under consideration is to provide a code-designated backup. Of course, that reduces the problem by half, but still, you still run into the same issue. Another consideration being given is that wherever there are residents on that unit who are willing and able to volunteer to do this, we could train them and inform them how to step in the event that there was a need for some kind of action of that sort. In other words, it becomes a community effort in much a consistent way with the spirit of Horizon House. We will be in touch with all of you in the future when Bill Corson comes back. We'll be in touch with you seeking your help in regard to that particular question. Finally, I'd like to offer a special thanks to the new resident briefing committee for their considerable effort over the past year. It's been a lot of hard work for a relatively small group of people, and I want to thank them especially. I'd also like to thank, we have an alumni association, in case you didn't know that. Marge Purdue, Falk Myers, Ann Frothingham, Sue Lynch. We also want to thank them for their considerable contribution during the time that they were serving on the committee as well. And I'm going to pass on the opportunity. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me, Jack Carr. You can look up in the directory, the same directory where the safety information is in the back. You look up my name and my phone number, or my box in the mail room, or my email address. Send me any questions you want. Thank you. And now I think I'm introducing, and the winner is Nancy Olson.
Well, I'm the liaison to the assisted living committees, of which there are 5. And do we have a list up? I can't. Yeah, okay. And all of them together are, I say, part of the attempt to bridge community between assisted living and independent living. And one of the most active of those committees is the Friendly Visitors Committee, co-chaired by Patty Flowers, and it's my pleasure to introduce her.
What is a friendly visitor? If you've lived at Horizon House for a while, you've probably had a neighbor or friend move up to assisted living, a place that provides help with some of life's basic functions. There are a lot of activities going on up there. Okay, 3, 4. There should be 7 of them. Lots of stuff going on up there. Are we to the one with the word yet? Ah, great. There are a lot of activities going on up there, but sometimes it's nice to have a one-on-one relationship with someone. A friendly visitor is someone who comes up once or twice a week to visit. We talk about shared memories, high school memories, maybe. My kids were in the band, they played soccer, whatever. Or maybe you read a book. I've read Becoming by Michelle Obama, the entire first edition of Harry Potter, and I'm currently reading The Good Rain by Timothy Egan. Books are great discussion openers. I find that we talk as much as we read. Or you might want to take a walk in the flower terraces, smell the flowers. Some friendly visitors go down to the fireside lounge and get coffee and just talk. I am constantly amazed by the wealth of experiences that assisted living residents have. Once you start talking with them, you find out all sorts of things. They've written plays, they've written books, they've designed buildings. There's a lot to learn from other people. How do you become a friendly visitor? Well, just go visit a friend you already know who's in assisted living, or call me or the head of life enrichment, Ildiko Patalki, and we will match you up with a resident who would like a little companionship and who will give you a little companionship right back. Why be a friendly visitor? Many of us in Horizon House come from a background of wanting to pay back for the benefits we have received in life. Plymouth Church and others have long-standing histories with Horizon House and commitments to helping others out. Giving back. Friendly visitors is a great way to pay back and also to pay back yourself. So go find out about it. Do some good, learn some things, and feel good about yourself by doing something for someone else. I'll be here at the end of the meeting for anyone who wishes to sign up or to get more information about friendly visitors. Thank you. And now we have Carol Roach. I took it out, Carol. You want to leave it out? Yeah, I find it's easier.
I'm reporting from the Bylaws Committee, and it's brief. The Resident Council revisited 2 tabled bylaws this month. One was withdrawn and another passed, bringing the total of past revisions this fall to 19. Those will be incorporated into updated 2022 Residence Council bylaws in a few weeks, and the revised bylaws will be available on HH Connect about mid-November. Also, hard copies available to Residence Council members or others who request them. I also would like to do a quick burning questions. These are the questions that were submitted to Residence Council members in September. Burning questions can come from any Horizon House resident about anything they want to ask. And I do my best to get the full answers before the next month's meeting. Last month, we received 3 questions. The first was, what happens when Alexa dies or stops functioning? As you probably know, Alexa is that black plugging disc about 1.5 inches thick
and that roughly, it's roughly the diameter of the lid of a large mayonnaise jar. Would you say that's about right? Alexa responds to spoken questions and requests, and it's very handy in a household. I'm going to say that first, the answer came from our very capable and engaged manager of IT support and services, Devin Rosner. And if you know Devin, you will not be surprised that his response involves photographs and detailed instructions. So instead of reading them here, I've made a poster, a yellow poster with colored photos. You will find it in the mailroom. If you were the person who asked that question, or if your Alexa is not functioning, send me an email and I will forward to you the full electronic version of what Devin sent me. Second question is about films and movies. We get a lot of questions about films and movies on HHTV. Why is the sound so weak and why can't we get subtitles? Nancy Federici, who leads the final Friday Night Film Committee, answers this one. We've been working recently with the staff to show the films that get the volume bumped up. Since the question came in a month ago, we'd love to know if the volume is better now. No is what you say. Ooh. And now about, okay, I will pass that on. I'm sure Nancy is listening, if not in this room. Oh, she is in this room. Okay. It's important to realize, this question is about subtitles now. It's important to realize that the movies that are shown on HHTV come from DVDs. Some of them are rented, and those have access to subtitles. Others come from collections of residents, and some of those are historical pieces that do not have access to subtitles, and that's why there's some variability. Nancy notes that all Friday movies do have access to subtitles, and she's also generously offered to talk by phone to any residents with related concerns in case this hasn't fully answered their questions. Thank you for that, Nancy. The third and last question is, what's the story on the locked porta potty on Terry Street near the West Tower garage exit? Answer comes from Brian Byers, Associate Director of Operations. That porta potty has been placed there for a contracted team that's been doing some repair on the north side of our property, as well as some work down the slope behind some of the landscaping. All their work is outside, and we had requested that that no contractors enter our building. So the porta potty was placed for their use. We anticipate that they will wrap up their work at the end of this week. When they do, the porta potty will be removed. Now it's your chance. If you have a concern about anything related to our Horizon House community, even if you're just curious about something, please meet me in the Fireplace Lounge right after this meeting. I'll be there for at least 30 minutes. Please write down your questions and I pledge to find the answer before the November council meeting. So bring your burning questions to the fireplace. I turn back to our president, Elizabeth Hoover.
Good job. So folks, how are we doing? This isn't too bad. Congratulations to these 5 newly elected council members who will begin their terms on January 1. In the meantime, our special nominating committee, headed by Nancy Cope, will be working on choosing a slate for officers for the coming year. And that will be announced at our November meeting. I want to thank a few people today before we close. First of all, I want to make a point of let you all know the people who are retiring from the council at the end of December, for whom these vacancies will be open, are as follows. Should have it right in front of me. Nancy Cope, of course, Beth Davis, Paul Parham, Diane Tinker, and Elizabeth Hoover. And now, and thanks to some of our committees who participated today, just to thank them for the work they put in to bring to you the reports they did today. Our nominating committee, with Connie Hillier heading that up, and she mentioned to you that that included Bill Anderson, Madge Hislop, Alice Melanie, and Susan Barish. The special nominating committee with Nancy Cope here included Beth Davis and Diane Tinker. The budget committee, you heard about the increases in the budget, work that out, and that's Chair Diane Tinker, May Gerstle, Carol Roach, and myself. And then the bylaws committee, which Carol just reported on, includes her as chair, Wilton Fowler, and Mary Ann Anderson. So thanks to all of those. I've been asked also to make an announcement real quick. A dining services committee member will be at a table in this fireside lounge following this meeting to answer questions and to take comments about the dining services. So now, do we have any questions or comments about anything that occurred in this meeting today? Yes, Gordon.
This is not actually a comment about what happened this meeting, but I keep getting questions asked, what's happened to all the gulls? And there may be of enough interest that I'll take a couple of minutes. The glaucous winged gull, which is the only gull that breeds in Puget Sound, sometimes, and a small number of them, nest on the tops of buildings. And among the places they nest is the top of the center out here. The big colony of glaucous winged gulls is on Protection Island on the north side of the Olympic Peninsula, where thousands of them breed. But a few of them have taken to breeding on the roofs of buildings where they're safe from predators. So they come in the late spring, lay eggs, and raise their babies here. But the food isn't here. They still go down to the water or various other places to get food. So what has happened, they have now fledged their babies. They no longer have any interest here, and they've gone back to the water where good gulls really want to be. And you won't expect to see them again until late May. Thank you.
Thanks for that science lesson. Anyone else? Yes.
It's impossible not to notice that this is election season, and I have a nonpartisan announcement, and that is we're all in favor of people voting. And I was running a rather large Get Out the Vote postcard project here, and I find myself with extra postcards and postcard stamps. So I made up little packets of 5 postcards and stamps and left them in the mailroom to pick up to mail to your friends, relatives, grandchildren, and other people that you would really like to participate in this, midterm election process. Thanks.
Thanks, Connie. Anybody else? Okay, that being the case, no further comment. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks so much for coming.